Hello and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a really beautiful ancient story that, believe it or not, deals with a very modern problem. It's a tale all about our identity, our destiny, and the incredible power we have to define who we are.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever felt kind of boxed in by a label? Maybe it's a job title or something someone called you once. Have you ever worried that your own name just doesn't quite fit the person you want to be? I think we've all felt that way. And that feeling, it's right at the heart of the story we're about to explore.
So let's go way back in time, to the ancient city of Takasila. Here we meet our main character, a really bright and dedicated young student. His name, Papa Ka. And even though he had so much going for him, he was carrying this huge weight on his shoulders every single day. And that weight was his own name. Yeah, you heard that right. The name Papa Naka basically meant sinner, or the evil one. Can you imagine that? Every time a teacher called on him, every time a friend said hello, he heard this negative label. For him, it wasn't just a name. It felt like a curse, like a sign that he was destined for bad things. He was totally convinced it was holding him back.
Papa Kari truly believed that if he wanted to change his future, he had to start by changing his name. So he decided it was time to do something about it.
He went straight to his teacher, who happened to be a very wise man, a bodhisattva, and he just laid it all out. He said, "Teacher, my name is a terrible omen. Please, you have to give me a new one, something lucky, something positive, so I can have a shot at a good life."
But the teacher, he saw that there was a much deeper lesson here for Papa Kala to learn. So instead of just giving him a new name, that would have been too easy, he gave him something way more valuable, a quest. He told him to go out into the world and find the perfect name for himself.
And just like that, Papaka set off, full of hope, thinking he'd be back in no time with some amazing, lucky new name. But, well, the world had three pretty powerful lessons waiting for him just around the corner.
So as he's walking into a nearby city, the first thing he sees is this big crowd of people, a funeral procession, carrying a body to be buried. He was curious, of course, so he went up and asked who had passed away. And get this, the man's name was Jivaka, and Jivaka literally means the living one. I mean, the irony is just staggering, right? The living one was dead. When Paka pointed this out, the mourners just shrugged and said, "Look, names are just names. Everyone dies. It doesn't matter what you're called." This was his first taste of a very confusing truth.
Okay, so a little shaken, he keeps going. Soon, he sees this commotion over by the city gate. It's a young slave girl, and she's being beaten in public because she couldn't pay back a debt she owed. He felt terrible for her, and he asked what her name was.
Her name was the Napali, which means the wealthy one, or protector of wealth. And yet, here she was, so poor she couldn't even pay a small debt. The people watching told him, being named wealthy doesn't make you rich, it's just a word. That gap between a label and reality was starting to look like a giant canyon in Papaka's mind. At this point, Papaka's feeling pretty discouraged, so he leaves the city behind and just starts wandering in the countryside. And that's where he finds a man walking around in circles, looking completely lost and confused. Papaka asks him if he needed help, and the guy admitted he had no idea where he was.
So Papaka asked his name, and the man says, "I'm Panthaka." Panfaka. The name means the pathfinder, the one who knows the way. And here he was, totally lost. And that was the final straw. That was the moment everything just clicked into place for Papaka.
With those three scenes burned into his memory, Papa Kancha completely forgot about finding a new name. He didn't need one anymore. He had found something so much more important, the truth. He turned right around and hurried back to his teacher.
He stood in front of his teacher, not as a worried student anymore, but as someone who had gained real wisdom. He told him everything he saw. The living one who was dead, the wealthy one who was poor, and the pathfinder who was lost. He finally understood. It's our actions, our deeds that shape our lives, not the words people call us. He didn't want a new name anymore. He was finally okay with being Papaka.
This incredible story is actually a teaching tale, one told by the Buddha himself. It's called the Namasiddhi Jataka, and it's designed to help us shift our focus away from superficial things like labels and onto what really truly matters. The whole reason the Buddha shared this story was to help one of his own monks who was going through the exact same anxiety about having an unlucky name. It was a timeless lesson back then, and it is absolutely a timeless lesson for us today. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. Names, titles, labels, they're just words. They're just conventions. They don't have any real power over you. Our reality, our true value, isn't defined by what we're called. It's defined by what we do. Our actions are what write the only story that really counts.
So, let's take this ancient piece of wisdom and bring it right into our own lives, right now. I want you to take a second and really think about that. What are the labels you're carrying around? Maybe someone else gave them to you. Maybe you even gave them to yourself. Are they helping you or are they holding you back? And here's the most important question. What can you do, starting today, to tell a truer, more powerful story about who you really are?
Because that's the real path to being free and defining yourself. It's about putting your energy into your character, into your kindness, your effort, and what you contribute to the world around you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. May you all be happy.